Have you ever wondered if you're dealing with a narcissist in your life? It's a question that often pops up when we encounter individuals who seem to be excessively focused on themselves, to the point where their needs, desires, and interests overshadow everyone else's. This is the crux of the narcissism dilemma. Narcissism is more than just an inflated ego or an overbearing sense of self-importance. It's a self-centered personality style marked by an excessive preoccupation with oneself, a constant need for admiration, and a lack of empathy for others. This relentless self-focus often comes at the expense of other people, pushing their needs and feelings to the sidelines. Imagine this: a person so engrossed in their world that they fail to notice, or perhaps even care, about the emotional needs of those around them. This person tends to dominate conversations, making everything about them, their achievements, their experiences. They often disregard others' feelings and perspectives, creating an environment where they are the sun, and everyone else merely orbits around them. This is the narcissistic personality at play. But let's be clear here. Narcissism isn't just about being self-absorbed or love-struck with one's reflection. It's far more complex and destructive than that. It's a force that can disrupt the harmony of relationships, leaving a trail of emotional damage in its wake. It's the inability to step into someone else's shoes, to understand their feelings, to value their perspective. It's the constant craving for admiration, the insatiable hunger for validation, and the relentless pursuit of self-interest that defines narcissism. It's important to understand that narcissism is not just a negative trait that some people possess. It's a personality disorder that can have serious implications for those who come into contact with a narcissist. It can lead to emotional distress, feelings of worthlessness, and even psychological trauma. Narcissism isn't just about excessive self-love. It's a destructive force that can harm relationships and leave lasting psychological scars. So the next time you encounter someone who seems overly self-absorbed, remember the narcissism dilemma. It's not just about them. It's about the impact they could be having on those around them. Consider this: you have a friend who seems obsessed with their own image. They constantly need validation and struggle to show empathy. Imagine a friend, let's call them Alex. Alex is charismatic, charming, and always the life of the party. But there's a catch. Alex seems to be perpetually preoccupied with themselves. They're always checking their reflection, sharing their accomplishments, and subtly steering conversations back to their favorite topic: themselves. You might notice that their need for admiration borders on obsessive. They're constantly seeking validation, fishing for compliments, and getting defensive when they don't receive the praise they feel they deserve. They may even go as far as to belittle others to boost their own ego. This behavior, as you can imagine, has a significant impact on their relationships. Friends may feel undervalued, overlooked, and drained. Conversations with Alex often feel one-sided and superficial, leaving little room for genuine connection. Yet, it's not just about the impact on others. This self-obsession hints at deep-seated insecurities. Beneath the surface, Alex likely struggles with feelings of inadequacy and a fear of being unloved. They may have a fragile self-esteem that hinges on the approval of others, making them extremely sensitive to criticism. From a psychological standpoint, Alex's behavior is indicative of narcissism, a personality disorder characterized by an inflated sense of self-importance and a lack of empathy. It's a complex condition that often stems from early life experiences and requires professional intervention to manage. However, it's important to note that narcissism exists on a spectrum. While Alex's behavior may be extreme, many of us exhibit narcissistic tendencies to varying degrees. It's when these tendencies interfere with our ability to maintain healthy relationships that they become a concern. So, what can we learn from Alex's case? It's crucial to recognize narcissistic behavior both in ourselves and others, and to understand its implications. It's about fostering empathy, setting boundaries, and promoting healthier interactions. This friend is a perfect example of narcissism. But remember, narcissism isn't limited to just friendships. Now imagine a parent who puts their needs before their child's, who takes credit for their child's success, and who lacks empathy. Let's dive into this scenario. Picture a parent, let's call her Jane. Jane is often preoccupied with her image, her success, and her own needs. She has a strong desire to be admired and validated by others, which overshadows her ability to empathize and connect with her own child. Now, take a moment to think about how this behavior might affect a child. The child in this case is often left feeling overlooked, unimportant, and unworthy of attention. They may grow up with a warped sense of self-worth, believing that their value is tied to their achievements or the approval of others. This can lead to struggles with self-esteem, anxiety, and depression. But it's not just about the emotional impact. The psychological implications of being raised by a narcissistic parent can be far-reaching. A child in this situation might develop a skewed understanding of love and relationships. They may come to believe that love is conditional, that it must be earned through performance or by meeting the other person's needs. This can set them up for unhealthy relationships in the future, where they constantly seek validation and fear rejection. Jane, like many narcissistic parents, might not even realize the harm she's causing. She may believe that she's simply pushing her child to succeed, or that her behavior is justified because of her own needs and desires. But the reality is, her lack of empathy and self-centeredness are causing deep-seated issues that can affect her child's mental health and relationships for years to come. A narcissistic parent can inflict lasting damage. But remember, these are just two examples. Narcissism can show up in any relationship. So, we've seen how narcissism can manifest in friendships and parental relationships. But how can we handle it? It's important to remember that narcissism, much like any other personality trait, exists on a spectrum. We've journeyed through the landscape of narcissism, from the self-admiring friend who seems to only care about their own needs, to the oblivious narcissistic parent who may unconsciously put their desires before those of their child. Just as a recap, narcissism is a self-centered personality style characterized by an excessive preoccupation with oneself and one's own needs, often at the expense of others. Now that we've established what it is, let's dive into some coping strategies that could prove useful when dealing with narcissistic individuals in your life. Firstly, it's crucial to set boundaries. Narcissists often struggle with respecting the personal space and needs of others, so it's up to you to assert and maintain these boundaries. Remember, you have every right to express your own needs and desires. Secondly, don't take their behavior personally. Narcissists often project their insecurities onto others, so their actions are more about them than you. Their need for admiration and lack of empathy are characteristics of their personality disorder, not a reflection of your worth. Thirdly, seek support. Dealing with a narcissistic person can be emotionally draining. It's essential to have a support system in place, whether it's a trusted friend, a family member, or a mental health professional. Lastly, educate yourself. Knowledge is power, and the more you understand about narcissism, the better equipped you will be to handle it. There are numerous resources available online and in print to help you navigate this complex personality disorder. Remember, understanding is the first step to dealing with narcissism. Stay informed, stay strong, and remember, you're not alone in this.